Hot damn.
The 4-link. Ugh. This was an undertaking, and I almost needed an undertaker. Yeah, this was the hardest thing I've ever done on my truck so far. Wait a minute. I'm having PSD. Hold on a second. Smooth. I'm joking about the PSD though, but speaking of joker, like, I'm not a welder. I'm not a fabricator. You know, this is not a how-to video. You know, I'm just showing you what I did. If you want to go see professionals, you know, go see Garage Fab, scraping the pavement, go see Puddin', you know, he's funny. But those guys know what they're doing. I can't film and work at the same time. Very single focused. Got to do one thing, can't do two things, or I mess up both things. So, I already had the 4-link. This is it here. And I'd bought it for a 1950 Ford shoebox that I had. And decided I didn't really want to build that. So I sold it. And I still had this 4-link and I just kept it around. I got this thing on clearance from one of the racing websites. I think it was Jegs or Summit. I don't remember. But it was $99. You know, and RideTech sells them, so they can't be too bad. I bought a universal C-notch from Queen City Fab on eBay, along with some lower bag mounts. Speaking of, make some sort of plan, guys. If you're doing this, make some sort of plan. You know, I saw these trucks with big, huge notches and thought, hey, you know, I got to have one too because, you know, I want to go all the way to the ground. With the frame on my truck, it drops low below the cab, and then it comes up real high underneath the bed. A 6-inch would have been fine to drop all the way to the ground. I didn't need a 10 by any means, but I got one. So I started out with the notch first, welded it in, cut the frame. That took a few days. I knew I was going to need a cross member for the triangulated inside bars. I call them the W's, but, you know, that's not what they call them. But the ones in the center, you know, I knew I was going to need a cross member to weld that to and then weld to the axle. So I made one of those, welded that in. And then I knew that the straight bars for the 4-link I was going to put on the sides, kind of like where the leafs were to begin with, you know, because I knew I could get a good, you know, frame of reference, you know, of where they needed to be if I'm going to put them in that spot. So I dropped the gas tank. Make sure you do that. Drop the gas tank, welded in the cross member, went out to the inside. Puddin' helped me out with this a lot, you know, how to measure from different angles to make sure that you're right to where you need. Check out his video because it. And since I wanted to keep the factory gas tank, didn't want to put a fuel cell or anything in and have to worry about moving, you know, the gas fill up because I really didn't know what I was going to do with what yet. But I wanted to keep the factory gas tank, so the inside triangulated bars were a tight fit in between where I needed them to be, the axle and the gas tank on one side. So I got those welded in, took off the leaf springs, welded in the straight bars. So I dropped the truck down to find the lowest point, you know, to where I'm going to put my bag mounts. And as I'm lowering it down, guess what? The drive shaft hits the cross member underneath the rear of the cab. So I'm not going to be able to go all the way to the ground like I originally wanted to. I'm going to have to eventually notch that so we can go lower. But that's in the future. I want to make sure that everything works now before I start going too crazy. Okay, and as I lowered it down, remember that big 10-inch C-notch that I have? Yeah, the axle comes up inside maybe 2.5, 3 inches. I didn't need a 10-inch, but whatever. Make a plan. Go with it. So I'd originally had bought these axle bag mounts, and they weren't going to work because of the way that the four-link comes in, where I was going to put the bag mounts up underneath the cross member for the top of the C-notch. That's where the triangulated bars were. So I got an idea that I'm going to make a new cross member going behind the C-notch. And I bought from Queen City Fab on eBay. Actually, they get stuff to me pretty quick. I was kind of impressed. I bought some under axle bag mounts that come out the back, which also is going to give me a little more travel, and later on I'll be able to go lower. So I decided that I'm going to use the factory shock mounts on the bottom. So the way I lined those up, I was going to have to make shock mounts to go on top of the cross member for the shocks to come up. I had some plate steel laying around because years ago I decided when I was working on that 50 shoebox, I was going to make my own C-notch. The hell with that. Just buy one. They're cheap. But I had some plate left over from that, so I made some little half-ass shock mounts to go on top. And I also knew that I would have to probably change those up whenever it comes time to drop the truck lower. So I wasn't real worried about making them look nice. I just wanted to be functional just to make sure this is all going to work. So I got the 4-link in. I got the bag mounts in. I got the shocks in. Everything looks good. Let's put the gas tank in. It hits the cross member for the front of the 4-link bars, for the triangulated parts on the inside. Yeah, the gas tank hits. So I had to drop the gas tank right back out. That was a pain in the butt doing it solo too. Yeah, it was hard. Anyway, I had to notch out the cross member I made for that in 2 different spots. I actually cut out one part so the tank would come up inside there, but underneath it, there just so happens to be a plug for one of the sensors in the tank. So I had to cut out it so the plug would go up inside of that, and then I put a tiny little plate on top of that just for strength. But that ended up working okay. So after I got the gas tank in, I started to take the evap system and put it back in. Guess what? It's the bag mounts. So I was looking at it. At first I was thinking about just getting rid of it, but everyone was, on all the F-150 and the Lightning, boards, people are explaining how to do it. But then other people are saying, no, you're going to smell gas all the time. And it's just, you're going to always throw a code. You're always going to smell gas. Don't do it. So I was looking at it. And the hoses were old and worn anyways. So I decided that I'm going to put all new hoses in, make them longer. And then I saw that I could flip it upside down and put it on top of the frame, and it would go into the original bolt holes. Then I measured between that and the bottom of the bed, and there was enough room plus a 1/2 inch to put it up on top of the frame and under the bed. Lucky. So that worked out good. Okay, so everything's back together. Now it's time to cut the bed. This was probably the easiest thing out of the whole deal. The hardest part about the bed was trying to get somebody over here to help me pick it back up and put it back on the truck, because I don't have any kind of lift or hoist or anything like that. I'm out in my driveway working in the sun. So finally got someone over to help me pick the bed up, put it back on the truck. So I drove the truck around for almost about a month. It took, it took almost a month and a half working after work in the evenings and on the weekends. Just, it took a long time to do this because I'm working solo. I don't have parts. I don't do stuff like this normally. So everything was just kind of, oh shit, I need something new. Got to order something, But you do what you got to do when you're broke and you can't pay somebody to do this. But I like doing it. It's not a matter of not paying. I like to do this stuff. Everything seems to be working good. Every week I get up and I check welds, I check around, make sure nothing's messing up. The ride is great. It actually rides better than the original. And, I can get up 75, 80. I'm not getting any vibration. I'm not getting any shimming or anything like that. I mean, it works great. And I love the ride. The front still a little bouncy because I don't have shocks on the front yet, but that's coming soon. But yeah, I mean, I have no complaints on it. And I've taken it around and shown some other car guys, what I've done. And they say it looks okay. I mean, they make that cringe face when they see my welds, but hey, they work. They ain't broke. I got a grinder, You guys know what I'm talking about. But, for my first time doing this and just learning from YouTube videos, other videos, and just a little bit of mechanical know-how of how things work, I don't think I did too bad of a job. I mean, honestly, it works. I mean, if it breaks next week, I guess I'm jinxing myself, whatever. But it works now. So here's the picture of the bed on the truck. And since the first video, because I've moved the air management and the tanks and the pumps and everything around, our compressors, and I've moved those all around to different spots of where I want it. But I finally think I've got it to where I want it now. As you can see, I put another cross member on top of the C-notch, and I've mounted the tank and the pumps all on top of the C-notch and just keeping it all in the same little area. The reason the lines are so long is because I don't know how they're going to be ran yet. I'm putting a blow-through sub box up front in the bed, and I don't know if I'm going to have to run the lines around, underneath, over the top, whatever. So right now it's just got to be ugly, but that's okay, because we'll change later. I don't want to cut too short and then realize, I ain't got enough length. You guys know what I'm talking about. But, the truck's not too crazy low, but, baby steps. I wanted to make sure everything was functional before I would really start dropping down and going nuts on that. Got new wheels, though. My buddy Wayne over at 3AM Customs hooked me up with some wheels. It wasn't a free hookup, but, I called him up. He gave me a better price than the internet, and honestly, I didn't even really know him that well at the time. We knew other people that knew each other, but he's cool. Great customer service. If you're in Chattanooga, do yourself a favor. If you want some wheels, go see Wayne, 3AM Customs. He's at a lot of shows. He's active in the car scene. You can't go wrong. He did me right. On the front. So on the front, I have universal cups right now. That I just bought and put the bags in. I didn't make a video about that because, there's videos out there of that on F-150s. So I didn't make a video, but I am in the future to drop lower. I am going to have to cut out the shock towers and make new bag mounts up top. And I've got a couple ideas of what I want to try to do on the bottom. So that's going to be a video in the future. I'm just not showing pictures of universal cups with a bag on it because that's boring. But yeah, that's coming soon. I got me some junkyard Lariat seats. I'm pretty happy about that. Got to recover those. All new interiors coming. I came from a car stereo world background, so that's where I'm at. I may do some how-to videos on that. I've got some really cool ideas that I may have been the first person to do. Not really the first person, but I haven't seen anybody talk about it or do it. I got an idea for door panels. So I'm going to have a video on that coming soon. I'm pointing, and you can't see my hand down here, but I'm still going to point. But interior's coming, paint's coming. I'm redoing everything. I'm going to build, I've got a 302 I'm going to build and put in it in the future. Everything's being redone in this truck. So, want to hang out and laugh at me or whatever you're going to do, stay and watch. I'm doing all of this myself. Everything's myself. Everything's solo. Everything's on the cheap. Some things I don't go cheap on. Like I bought the cheaper pumps. I bought the cheaper tank, but I got Slam Specialty bags. I'm not skimping on that. I went with Touche Air Jacks valves because I'm going to do a video about that showing my switches up front, but I wanted two switches on top of each other instead of side by side like the four-way. So I want the two on top, which is the Touche. I bought two of those. But yeah, that's what my channel's about. Doing it yourself, doing it cheap. If you're poor like me, if you got it, buy it. Like if I had, $1,200 to spend on a extensive front end kit for my truck, yeah, I'm doing it. But I can't. So I'm going to do it myself. Plus I like it. It's kind of fun. Making something for the first time that you didn't know you could, it's actually fun. So, but yeah, that's what my channel is about. Hang out, watch me do some cheap ass shit. It's fun. I'm going to the Spark show in Sevierville in August. Not going to be in the show because my truck is not show ready whatsoever. It's still ugly. Hell, I got to repaint the hood. When I bought the truck, I didn't realize that they had rattled canned the hood. And, 2 years later, there ain't no paint on the hood left. I mean, it's faded out. So I gotta do that. But I'm going to be at the Spark show. Not going to be in the show, but I'll be riding around with my kid. We'll be cruising. If you see, a cheap ass F-150 silver, stop and say hi. I'm usually nice. Yeah, usually. I always talk too much. But yeah, stay tuned, guys. More stuff's coming.